This is Justin.
And this is Haley, and you're listening to The Price of Avocado Toast.
We're a married millennial couple wanting to normalize conversations about money. We want to hear about your highs and your lows,
The do's and the don'ts on your path towards financial freedom. Hi, Toasties. Welcome to Price of Avocado Toast.
Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been following us from the start of this thing, we're so glad to have this conversation with you today.
We have an announcement.
And it's a big, big announcement.
I'm really excited. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Drum roll. We bought a house.
Woo!
In Michigan, guys.
In Michigan, of all places.
In Michigan. And we're not going to move to Michigan.
We are not moving to Michigan. No way.
In fact, we've never even been to Michigan.
Never been there.
So how the hell did this happen, Justin?
Yeah, pretty crazy story. So we ended up buying what is our first investment property, and I say first because I hope that it's one of several in the future. But yeah, we bought our first investment property in Michigan.
I'm really excited for you to tell this story because this was your project from the beginning. You were really excited to go do this, and then you went and did it, and I just kind of watched from the sidelines. And I don't say that like I had no hand in this. That's not what this was. And we'll go into further detail with what I mean by that. But this is your baby. And you went with this idea from start to finish. This is your thing. And I'm really excited to see you doing something like that. Because you don't typically step outside of your comfort zone like that.
No, I definitely don't. But it's not like it came out of nowhere. You know, you and I have talked for several years now about real estate being eventually one way that we want to diversify our investments. And that was even before we had got into our debt-free journey and started to understand money a little bit more. We've always just kind of thought yeah, that'd be kind of fun to, own some property and rent it out and obviously earn money through that. But we've also talked about the ways that we could give and maybe, take care of rent for somebody if we were the homeowners. So there's definitely been this idea of being property owners in our minds for many, many years. So it's really exciting to see it start to kind of come to life.
I mean, it's alive. It's
Yeah.
alive and well. We're here. So this whole episode, I'm going to be kind of interviewing you on
Cool.
all of this because this is your baby, and I want you
Mhm.
to share the story from your perspective because I really just kind of watched you do this.
Yeah.
And, like you said, we had this idea knowing that we wanted to have some sort of rental income at some point, whether it was us buying an investment property or this house that we're renting from my mom eventually getting passed down to us. Something we knew that'd be somewhere. We just had no idea when it would come or how we would start or any of that. And then I think oftentimes people get scared when you think of investment properties in California. That's just very unrealistic.
Yeah.
And so then it just kind of got shut down because knowing that would just be kind of way too far-fetched for us.
Yeah, definitely.
So we just didn't really think about it too much. So how did you go from this idea to actually doing it? How did you take this leap and why now? Why not wait 30, 40 years or whatever? 40 years is a long time.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So this idea had definitely been in our minds, but what really spurred it to action was a call that I had with our financial advisor. And during that call, he actually didn't push me towards real estate or anything like that, but we realized that I'm going to be eligible for public service loan forgiveness because I'm a teacher and my plan is to be teaching for 10 years and making the minimum qualifying payments so that they're then forgiven. And he is a certified student loan professional, so I feel really confident having him in my corner and feeling comfortable with that. So the money that you and I had earmarked from our home sale that was going to be paying off my student loans, we decided, hey, actually, maybe this isn't what we do with this money, and maybe we decide what we want to do with it moving forward. And it wasn't a conversation we had with our advisor. It was just something that you and I had talked about, and I said, I think I want to start to kind of look into this a little bit more, and you kind of gave me the free rein to do my own research and to look into some things and then to come back to you, I should say, with some ideas. And so that's really where it came from.
So to clarify for anyone who is relatively new or doesn't totally remember, we sold our house almost a year ago. We're recording this on
Yeah.
March 12th of 2022. And March 15th of 2021, we posted our house for sale and sold it
Wow.
in April. So it's been almost a year. And we sold our house with the intention of profiting several hundreds of thousands of dollars to then pay off all of our debt. So we
Hmm.
sold our house to pay off our debt, chose to not pay off our debt, and then bought another house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mindset changes that happen this whole entire journey that we've been on, really, since like the beginning of our financial
Yeah.
journey to now. But it's just interesting because I see that whole entire thing and I'm like, wait, someone from the outside would be like, why did you do that?
Hmm.
That makes no sense. Why didn't we just stay in the house? And it it led us here,
Yeah.
but it's just a twisted way we got here.
Yeah, definitely.
So one thing I want to ask you about, we prepared these questions earlier and I kind of showed you what they were going to be, but I didn't show you this one. I thought of this right before we hopped on.
Hmm.
You've kept this so close to your heart.
Yes.
You didn't tell anybody for the longest time. You
Mhm.
didn't tell your mom. You didn't tell your siblings. You didn't tell a single person.
Yeah.
Why?
Originally, I wanted to keep it close because I tend to take the weight of others' opinions more than I honestly should. I listen to others and how I think they might view my life or view my actions, and I give them more space than I think is fair sometimes. And there's things that I want to do in my life, and I don't want to say I've been talked out of them, but I've questioned whether or not they were the right thing for me because of how others perceived it. And that's not just my family, that's plenty of folks. So I wanted to keep this to us and to accomplish this goal, and then let people know about it afterwards, so they couldn't talk me out of it. To be quite honest, because I listen to what people that I love and care for, I listen to what they say, and so I didn't want to be talked out of this.
You were very set on this
I was
decision.
very set.
And it was really cool as your partner to watch that unfold. Like, this is what's going to happen, and we're going to go do it. And you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we rewind a little bit? You went down the rabbit hole of research.
Yeah.
So you read books, you did a bunch of stuff. What was all of that, and how did it lead you to actually like buying a house a couple months later?
That's a great question. I did so much research, and I can't tell you the amount of time that I put into it. I don't think people realize, like, all of the work that goes into making big changes or big decisions sometimes, um, because we might just tell somebody, like, yeah, we decided to do this. But there was so much underlying work that went into making that decision. One of the big things was obviously reading. And so I read 3 different books that I absolutely loved. And all 3 of them gave me different perspectives and ideas and ways to approach this. And it was last summer that I was reading them. One was Retire Early with Real Estate by Chad Carson, who's a former uh, college football player who has a podcast that I really appreciate, talking about real estate and his journey. The second one was titled Long Distance Real Estate, and I think it's by David Greene, another Bigger Pockets writer. And I should say that Bigger Pockets is the internet site that is like all things real estate investing. And then the third book, which was probably the most transformational for me, was called House Fire by Alan Corey. And it was a really smooth read, really comical, really easy to digest. But in it, he makes a really good point that we will review and research things over and over and say we're going to take the leap, and we never will because we are holding ourselves back. And so in the first few chapters, he says, I'm challenging you, reader, 3 months from when you put this book down because you finished it, buy your first property. And that was in August that I finished it, and we closed on the house in Michigan in November. So it was almost 3 months exactly. And I was really proud of that because I wanted to push myself to completing those tasks.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. So I feel like the first step was figuring out where you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
What and I'm saying this like it is totally your thing and I had nothing to do with this, and just know that that's not the case.
Yeah.
People that are listening, I did have something to do with this, but I really let Justin with free reign, just like go do what he wanted to do and come back. And we had discussions and we came to agreements on what we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I really just let him do it, knowing that like obviously he's not going to go buy something that we can't afford.
Yeah.
And we made this decision together, but you did the research. This really was you doing all of it. So why the heck Michigan? And can you kind of elaborate on where we are in Michigan? Why Michigan? Why not California? Because I'm sure everyone's like, why, why? That's really weird.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to start by kind of giving everybody an overarching idea that is called the 1% rule. And the 1% rule essentially in real estate says your rental income, or I shouldn't say that, the cost that you rent out the house for should theoretically be 1% of purchase price. That is generally going to put you in the range of like a decent deal. And so in California, you can't do that. You can't hit 1%. Now, you can hit other good deals in California and make decent money as a real estate investor. Um, but that was never our goal. Our goal was not to like retire early with like real estate investing. It was just to kind of diversify our portfolio. So I didn't think California was ever going to be it, let alone the fact that you need a ton of money down and the market is insane right now, right?
So someone who's driving in their car right now, can you give them a lowdown? What is 1% of like a $500,000 California home?
Oh, that's $5,000
So
rent. Yeah.
$5,000 rent would be what you would have to charge for a $500,000 house.
Yeah.
So that's pretty wild.
That's not, yeah, it's just not feasible.
That just doesn't make sense.
No. And so I knew that it wasn't going to be there. So I just started to do the research and I got online to the Bigger Pockets website and started to scroll through their forums. And I saw a realtor pop up on a thread where somebody said, "What are some of the best cities right now to be investing in?" And for multitude of different reasons that they kind of asked, for some guidance on. And a realtor popped up and said, "Actually, these ring cities around Detroit, there's, a handful of ring cities that kind of circle Detroit as the metropolitan area. All of these ring cities are doing a pretty good job. They're hitting the 1% rule. They're nice neighborhoods, good rentals, good communities, renting quickly, all of these things that were really positive." And I saw that it was outside of Detroit. And I went to a football clinic one time and heard a coach speak who is from the Metro Detroit area. And I loved listening to him speak. And I just really appreciated everything about him. And for some reason, I just connected with him in that moment. And he probably has nothing to do with real estate. I have no clue what he does beyond football coaching and teaching. But I was like, yeah, that's it. And so I reached out to this realtor and got a phone call a day later by a young man who said, "Hey, I'm a realtor on this guy's team, and you had reached out, and I wanted to talk a little bit more." And I said, "Yeah, sure. Like, what's going on?" And so we started talking, and I realized that this young man's name was Richie Brown, and my father's name was Richard Brown, and so it just felt very like, okay, this is lining up way too much. He was a young guy. He's a little bit younger than us. Uh, he's also an investor, which I really appreciated. And he just had this energy that I really liked. And I was really looking forward to work with him. And from then on, it was like, okay, it's going to be somewhere in Michigan in one of the ring cities. And so eventually we settled on Warren, Michigan, again, one of the ring cities, because I just really liked the town. I liked some of the setups. I thought the homes were pretty nice and some of the rates were pretty good to where we would get a decent rental out of it.
Love that. And there's a lot of personal finance people that hate on or tend to shit on people that are landlords.
Yeah.
And so you really wanted to do this and do it right and not be like, oh, we can get the most money and overcharge everyone for rent.
Yeah.
And that was huge for you. You wanted something that would make sense for everyone involved. That was affordable housing, but also where we'd make money.
Yeah. The town that we're invested in is very, blue collar. These folks are hardworking people. The community is a lovely community from all of the research that I've done. And again, we're talking a 45-minute podcast here. I can't begin to tell you the amount of research I've done on this town and the amount of looking into this place that I've done. It's phenomenal when I think back to the amount of work I put in on this. And yeah, we didn't want to be slumlords. We didn't want to be, these people that were trying to take advantage of anything. I'm really looking forward to, like we've said, all the time. I'm really looking forward to getting some long-term tenants in there and getting to surprise them around the holidays with knocking a couple months off of rent for them so that they can maybe get ahead, so that they can do something fun, so that they can be successful or whatever they want to do. Like the it's like our good friend Travis says, the meaning behind it is so much more important than the money. And like, yes, obviously, like I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. It is an investment choice. It is a way that's going to, essentially make us passive income, but it's not like we're just trying to capitalize and take everybody for what they're worth.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the most important thing when you're doing something like this,
Yeah,
because it is transactional.
for
It
sure.
is what it is. But you want to feel good about what you're doing and
Yeah.
not feel sleazy. If it feels sleazy, then you're probably not doing the right thing.
Well, and Chad Carson, the author of the first book I mentioned, and we should actually link all of those into the show notes.
We definitely will.
He mentions in his podcast, like, I'm obviously providing a service of, like this home, right? And he's like, but I take that seriously with like, I'm not gonna let my tenants go without. I'm gonna make sure that everything is taken care of appropriately. I'm gonna make sure that they're never having trouble in that house. And that's what I want to make sure of as well. Like, I don't want people to get in there and have a ton of issues and feel like things are a mess or chaotic or anything. Like, I want them to be well taken care of and be living in a home that they can be proud to be in as well.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
So, how did you find your realtor? First off, how did all of that work being so far away, putting in offers and looking at houses? Because we put in offers on more than one house.
hmm
And then, how did you find a lender all like from super far away, having never even visited this town?
So I mentioned that I went on the Bigger Pockets forum and found the broker for the realty team, and one of his realtors reached out to me, and so that's how we got connected. But one of the great things about Richie and the team there at Fire Realty Team was they had an entire database of contacts that they vetted over time for absolutely everything you could ever need in the home buying process. Lenders, inspectors, plumbers, contractors, stonemasons, insurance agents, absolutely everything you could imagine that you would need in the home process, landscaping, roofing. I, I mean, the database is tremendous. And so I was able to just, once I connected with him, he sent me that right over. And that was the list that I was able to use throughout the entire process as we were going through things. Now, one of the great things about having a realtor who was also an investor was he was sending me these really great data sheets with some deals that he had found and was breaking them down in some pretty clean costs. And actually, the home that we purchased was one of those. He sent a sheet out one morning like, hey, I found this deal and I talked to the owners and they're actually willing to come down a little bit. Here's all the, specs on it. Here's all of the numbers. Here's the way I crunched them out. And it made a lot of sense. And so it was really great having him in our corner because, he was sending us those deals, but he was also going to all the homes for us that we were interested in and videotaping them and just uploading them to a Google Drive. So even though I wasn't physically in the house, he would walk through the house and talk through everything. And he'd say, yeah, here you can see, I'm turning on the shower. Yeah, water looks good. Oh, these windows look like they're single pane. If you guys choose this spot, we're probably going to want to replace those. I'm seeing some shingles missing here on the roof. You can kind of see where it bows right here. Like, he was incredibly thorough. And so I'm doing virtual walkthroughs basically, and you don't have to be there at that point. The internet has made this so much easier for everybody involved.
I really liked watching those videos with like the outside of the house because these are old houses, really, really old houses. Some of the foundation was kind of like settling, and there was some stuff that needed to be done on some of the homes that we had looked at.
Yeah,
And it was really nice to have that transparency from someone who knew what they were looking for,
totally.
because not everyone knows what to look for. But when you are, I truly think if you're looking at a real estate investment property, having an agent who also has investment properties is really important.
It's key.
They know exactly what to look for because they want exactly. I mean, they want to set you up like they did for themselves. What am I trying to say here? They've been through it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody gets the gist of what you're saying,
Yeah.
for sure. That makes total sense.
Like they know what it's like for to be in that position with their own home and their money and their investment. So they want us to have that same experience. Now, that's not to say all agents are that way, but it's important to find one that makes you feel that way for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Okay, so my next question, I'm sure that people are dying to just know how much was the house?
Yeah.
What's the numbers breakdown on everything? What are we going to be profiting monthly? What are we going to be renting it for? Who the heck is going to take care of this house from far away? Like, how does this work?
Thank you for asking, Haley.
You're welcome.
So the purchase price was $92,500, which is wild to me.
That's not even a down payment
Yeah,
in
that's
California.
just wild to me. And so we are in an interesting predicament because I'm a teacher. I'm actually not paid in the summertime. People have this idea. Well, I think most people understand teachers aren't paid in the summer, but I'm just going to reiterate teachers are not paid in the summer. We're only paid for the time that we work. And so when people say you have summers off, it's like, yes, but I'm also not getting paid for that time. So I don't know. Anyways, so because of that, we're in a really interesting position with what my income actually looks like over the course of a year. And because you had just started your business, you didn't really have any long-term income to show yet.
I mean, I was like
You were
4 to 6 weeks in when we
Yeah.
were like putting in offers
Yeah.
on houses.
Exactly. And so because of that, we went with a large down payment. So we actually put down everything that was in my student loan bucket and then some. So the purchase price was $92,500. We put down after closing costs, it came up to be about $50,000 that we put down ourselves. So our total loan amount was around $42,000 that we are actually, that we actually owe on the home still. Do you want me to continue with some numbers? You have a question there?
Well, I
Sorry.
just want to say that like the Forerunner that we sold back in the day, that was a $50,000 car loan. So we now have a mortgage that
hmm
is less money than our car loan.
Which is
And I
pretty
think that
wild.
that's crazy
It is.
because if someone were to tell me that I could buy a house for under $100,000, I would have told them they were insane. I
Yeah.
didn't know that this was a possibility.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So we purchased the home, and then I look at the vendor sheet, and I see that there's property management on there, and obviously we can't manage from out of state, so we're going to be working with a property manager. And so I contacted one, and I really liked his transparency. I really liked his punctuality with emails and stuff, so we decided to go with him. He is pretty firm that the home is going to be rented for about $1,200 monthly. Our monthly mortgage is, or I should say, our monthly escrow payment, which is mortgage, taxes, and insurance, is about $334 a month. We put down $350 a month just to pay an extra $16, to boost that principal payment. So 1,200
Can
minus.
you repeat that again? We have a
Yeah,
lot of people
sorry.
from California. What's our mortgage
Yeah.
payment?
The mortgage payment itself is like $150, but with taxes and insurance in the escrow account, it all comes up to about $335 monthly, and we pay $350 just to throw an extra $16 on the principal.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I'm constantly thinking like, this is pretty wild.
It is very wild.
And then when you really break down the numbers, it seems even crazier.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So that's $350. We're renting the home at $1,200. So $1,200 minus $350 gives you $850. However, that's actually not all cash flow, which means money we would take in because we have things that we need to pay for outside of that. So traditionally in real estate investing, you're looking at putting certain amounts of money aside to plan for different things that might come up. You essentially want to put 10% away of your monthly, rent for maintenance costs. Maintenance costs might be needing to get fire alarms reinstalled, needing to get like a sink fixed or replaced, needing to get new locks put in, right? Not huge expenses, but things that could come up. So you put 10% away for that. Another 10% you do want to put away for your management fee, and that's what we pay our property manager monthly to manage the home. So that's another $120 right there put away. You'd put 5% away for what's called vacancy, which means in the times that you do not have a renter in there, you have a stockpile of cash so you can still make the monthly mortgage payment and not worry. And then you put 5% away for what's called capital expenses or CapEx. And that's going to be your large scale things, water heaters, roofs, if you have major plumbing issues, if you have some type of, furnace problems, anything like that.
HVAC.
HVAC, yeah. So that's what you're going to be putting that away for. So essentially, 30% of your overall monthly rent, the $1,200, should be put away to plan ahead for these other things. So if we actually do the math, let me get out the calculator here, excuse me.
It's
So
360.
it's 360. Are you sure about that?
Positive.
Really? Oh, interesting. So 1,200 minus 350 minus 360. Yeah, so 490 is what will be cash flowing or what we will be essentially earning monthly on this home. It'll be a $490 payment.
Love this. So all of this was new to me. I knew in my head that if we rented for $1,200, we'd have to pay the mortgage, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But like I knew that we'd have to stay for the big things, but I didn't really know if there was a formula or how you do that or any of that. So knowing that you did all this research, reading all of this is like standard across real estate investing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like everyone says, like you should put all of this away so that you're not turned upside down when you don't have tenants for 6 months or when all of a sudden you need to replace the floors, the HVAC, and the roof because something crazy happened.
Yeah, I don't want to get on anybody, like if anybody's listening that does real estate investing, but like if you want to do it the right way, you need to be putting money in reserves and planning for things that are going to come up because they're going to come up.
So technically, we are making like 800 something a month, but then we're putting 360 away. Well, it's 360 minus the 120. So we pay the property management 120, and then the rest of it we are responsible for putting that into the sinking funds
Correct.
to have it set aside.
Correct.
Very cool. I love all of this information that you're sharing. I'm sure that this is really helpful for the people listening as well because if you don't know what to even look up the research and all of that, people just think that you can rent out houses. I remember when we said that we were going to sell our house, so many people came at us saying like, why don't you just go rent somewhere else, but rent out your house in Sonoma County? That made no sense. We had a $350,000 mortgage.
Yeah.
We couldn't rent our house for $3,500. No. I mean, we probably could have, but that I don't feel comfortable ever charging someone that much money.
And we also didn't have the reserve money to be doing
No.
that because our mortgage was way, way high. So
Yeah.
if we were charging the market value for that home, which probably would have been $2,600, $2,700 maybe, that was only $500 more than what our mortgage was. That was not going to be enough money to put away for when things were going to happen. If we were to lose a tenant and then we're paying rent on two places, we're upside down within a single month. That's just not feasible.
I love that this house in Michigan, we could technically never have people in it for the rest of time and be okay. We could always pay $350. Always.
Yeah.
Obviously, I do not want that to be the case, but it's comforting knowing that no matter what, we'll be able to cover that payment because it is so low.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I mean, I can't imagine just waiting for tenants if you had something that was several thousands of dollars just sitting there waiting. That would be so
stressful.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, seriously.
So I want to go back a little bit. I'm not on the house.
Yeah.
I know that we pulled some numbers with the lender. I'm not on the house for a few reasons. Can you kind of elaborate on that? I mean, anyone who knows the laws, it is my house, even though your name is on the house. But I am not legally on the loan or on the deed. So okay, first off, I have to mention, you did this straight up. I didn't have to sign anything. So it's possible if you have a spouse lurking, they might be buying a house behind your back.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned, that I didn't have to do anything.
For real.
Which seems so sketch. So anyway, what was the process with the lender putting me on and then taking me off and all of that stuff?
Well, we originally wanted to purchase a home, obviously together because we are a team.
Right.
And yeah, you've mentioned, that I did a lot of the learning behind this, but I was always talking to you. I mean, I was the one that was reading, but that's because, maybe you were with the babies or doing something else or building your business.
You're
Like,
very kind. I don't read. I don't
well,
read books.
sure,
I do
sure.
audiobooks.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I was approaching you daily and having conversations and looking at the homes together and so while this was a project of mine that I was very passionate about, you were my partner the entire time. But the reason you're not on the loan is actually for a couple different reasons. Again, probably the main one is that your business was just getting started. You didn't have any income that was long term that they would consider as income to give us a better rate or a better deal or let us put less down or anything like that.
Yeah, so
And so,
my income was zero
yeah,
on paper, like technically according to the lenders
yeah.
with what they could have accepted. So my income was zero. That's a number one thing.
Yeah. And then the other part of that was that if I were to have you on there and your income was zero, I'm taking your $50,000 of student loans and adding them on as well. So then our debt to income ratio was way, way higher because I had no income from you, but I had all of your $50,000 worth of debt. And it made no sense to do like that. Actually, we weren't even we would not have been approved like that, which was interesting because it seems like nowadays they'll just give a loan to anybody
Yeah.
to make a buck. But I was actually glad that they were quite honest. And again, it was a lender that was from the vetted resource list. She was tremendous and really walked us through it and did everything she could to make it work. But at the end of the day, she just said it simply is not going to work with Haley on the loan. So we had to do it with just me on there.
And you guys kind of explored some options of other loans, like where you wouldn't have had to like show income or something. What was all that?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was like
Because we really dealt with the lender for a while, really trying to figure out what
yeah,
loan would
it
be
was
best.
really cool. She actually specializes in this investor style loan, which basically was built around for those who wanted to become real estate investors. You could get this particular type of loan that had a little bit higher of a percentage for the rate, but it wasn't so much higher that it didn't make much sense. Like it would have given us a lower down payment and a higher rate, but um because you weren't on there, it still had that. It didn't quite work there either. But I forgot about that. That was an option that would have been kind of cool. And now that your business is booming, in the next few years, if we ever buy again, I definitely want to reach out about that because it was really cool. I mean, like when I say you didn't have to put much down, I mean, it was like a joke.
It was like 5,000,
Yeah.
maybe not even.
It wasn't, yeah, because it wasn't 10%. It wasn't 20%. It was, yeah, that was it. It was 10%, but it was you don't have to pay PMI,
Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
private mortgage insurance, you have to get under 20%.
Like
Uh,
if you put under
yeah, if you
20% of a
put
down
under
payment.
20% down, yeah, that was it. It was 10% down with no PMI. And I was like, what is this? This is cool. And it was like, half a percentage higher with the interest rate. Like it really was like a pretty sweet deal for an investor.
So so why did we put $50,000 down instead of just the 20%?
It made more sense with the debt to income ratio and it was going to give us a better rate long term. And so it was like, okay, I can sit on this cash for no reason even though we've already decided we're not going to pay student loans, or I can put it into this house and get the equity out of it and start building on it. And so that's what we chose to do.
Love it.
Yeah.
So my favorite way of looking at this is we bought a house that's going to pay your student loan payments. And then we still own the house once your student loans are paid off.
Yeah, and that's actually what the book House Fire by Alan Corey talks about. He essentially says if you can become a real estate investor who owns these homes, don't call them the home that's, down on this street, the Bank Street home or the Church Street home. Call them the phone bill. Call them the pet insurance. Whatever bill that home's cash flow is going to take care of, that's what you want to call them.
So this is student loan
this
house.
is the student loan house. Yeah. It's really exciting when you look at it like that. Like, yeah, actually this cash flow theoretically could pay my student loan.
That is like circling back to when people talk about the homes that you live in, your primary residence not being an investment. This is an actual investment. This is an
Yeah.
investment that is going to generate money, an income producing asset that we will have for a long time. So what is our plan? Are we going to flip it? Are we going to move to Michigan? Are we going to sell it in a few years? Are we going to refi out and buy another one? What are we doing? Are we going to pay it off really fast aggressively?
Yeah, I'm looking forward actually to seeing what happens. I obviously still have some mindset of like debt sucks. So I'm like, we should pay this off. We've crushed 45,000 before. We know what to do. Let's do it again. But the other part of me is like, wait a minute. I have a 30-year loan on this home. If I have a tenant in there that is making the monthly payment, then I'm not really too worried about paying it off long term. I'll let it do its job, and it will eventually do that. Um, but I don't know. We're certainly not moving to Michigan. I'd love to go sometime and like visit our realtor and actually stay out there and stuff. And maybe we'll take a trip one time when we're ready to buy our next property and go out there and stay for a week and house hunt.
Yeah.
Who knows? That'd be kind of fun. But I don't know. It's something that again has been on our minds and hearts for a couple of years, and it was like, okay, let's just take the plunge and see what happens and go from there. And so, I mean, we're never going to be the people that are like real estate, moguls. I think we've talked and we're like, yeah, a nice portfolio in quotation marks of real estate homes, that are like, I don't know, maybe 5 houses would be really cool. Would be really fun.
That'd be really cool. Especially 5 houses that are $100,000 houses.
Yeah.
Like, that's manageable.
Yeah, we don't need to be like, yeah, I have a home in Jacksonville, Florida, and then I've got a home in Michigan, and we've got, a cabin out in Rochester, New York, and we've got this
13
great
plex.
spot in Las Vegas, and we've got a condo down south in LA. Like, no, that's not what we want. Yeah.
I love the idea of staying in this area, staying with Warren, staying with the same real estate team, lender, property management team. It just seems like this, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, please. This seemed like it was very seamless.
It was.
So, like 0 to 10, how simple was this process for you?
0 being,
Like the easiest thing, you just sat there, and 10 is like so hard.
oh,
Wait, no, the other way around.
the other way around. 0 being super difficult.
Yeah.
10
10
being,
is like rock star. This was so easy.
honestly, I would give it like an 8.
Really?
Yeah. The only things that I would take off are just the standard things that come with buying a home and like needing to, get all these documents and like schedule all this different stuff and this, the timeline of like, okay, now we got to wait for contingencies and all of this. But honestly, like from start to finish, like remarkably easy.
So I think one of the most important questions that people are probably wondering is how fast did we get tenants in? Dun,
Yeah.
dun,
Oh,
dun.
yeah. We haven't covered that. That's a great point. Oh my gosh. So this is actually an important thing to know. We just talked about it being very easy. However, that's because we're looking at this long term. It was not a quick thing that we were just like, let's just get tenants in there and start making money. And we have actually had a long time with this process. So we've closed the home in November.
I think it was like Veterans Day. It was early
Yeah, it was like
November.
November 8th or something like that. Yeah. It was November 8th. And so we closed on the home, and then now that I'm thinking, we closed on the home on my sister's birthday.
Yeah.
Anyways, love you, sis, if you listen. Anyways, we closed on the home, and in the city, you actually have to have their inspecting department come out after to like make sure that it's okay as a rental. And
Is that a Michigan thing
and
or
that's
Warren?
that's a Warren thing, but it might even be a Michigan thing. Unfortunately, I only know because I only deal with the city of Warren, right? I don't know otherwise. But because of that, the city was massively backed up during the wintertime. Massively backed up. And so I actually called
I mean, if I recall, December was really bad for COVID.
Yeah.
So people probably were
I'm
at
sure they had
home
people
sick.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was calling, the property manager was calling, and not in a hassling way, but you actually have to send in the paperwork to apply to get an inspector out, and then they'll schedule it. Like, it's not like you just call and be like, yeah, I've got this day open, right? You have to, like, send in this paperwork and stuff. And so we had it scheduled for Valentine's Day, actually. And listen to this. The inspector couldn't get into the house because they couldn't find the lockbox to get into the home. It was in the garage at the house, but our property manager put it in there because there have been break-ins in different parts of the town where people have been stealing like water heaters and stuff, and he didn't want anything bad to happen to the house. And the inspector somehow couldn't find it. So our property manager called, and because they're so backed up, they're not going to be able to get back in until April, like the first week of April, very early April.
Okay.
So, we purchased the home in November. First mortgage payment was in January. We'll hopefully get tenants by May, maybe June at the latest, but that means we're making 4 to 5 months of the mortgage payment before we have tenants in. That's a little bit longer than maybe people want. Some people want it to be rent ready right away. And we had some other things we had to do with, getting the furnace and thermostat fixed. We had some other stuff we had to do with smoke alarms and certain outlets that go in the kitchen to keep things safe. So there were some things we had to do to get the home rent ready. But it's really, really important for people to recognize, like, it's not always a fast thing. Slow and steady wins the race. We didn't buy this house to pay it off in a year and like then sell it. We bought this house so that 30 years from now, once it's paid off, we own this asset that's like making money.
I think having bought this house several months ago, 5 months now.
Yeah.
It's been 5 months?
Mhm.
About. Just still not having tenants in 5 months later just reinforces the fact that if you're going to go this route with an investment property, you have to make sure that you can cover that mortgage
Yep.
and all the other stuff that has come up. I don't know how much we've spent on other random things. It hasn't been like a massive amount of money, but it's probably been like maybe $2,000 of like little things here and there, and it's just getting it ready. So you have to have a little cash to do those things. You have to be able to pay the mortgage and wait it out till you get people. That's really important. Are we paying the property management team right now?
That's another tremendous question. Actually, no, we're not.
Which is so weird to me.
Yeah. You
So,
don't
like,
pay until you actually get tenants, which makes sense. It's like until they get clients in there, they're not going to get paid. It incentivizes them to get things done
but
as well.
they are managing. So that's
Yeah.
the thing that's cool. They are fully doing it and responsible for the house right now, and they send us invoices when they go and get things fixed and all that stuff. But we're not paying them until we get people in, which I love for the aspect of, yeah, it incentivizes them to actually get people in and get it done.
Yep.
As soon as they can. Obviously they can't right now because we're waiting, but
Mhm.
that's just kind of cool. So I guess my last question is our stop sign, but I'm going to flip this a little bit and ask you, if you were to put a stop sign on someone's real estate investment journey, what would you stop them from doing? Or what's like a massive red flag you'd be like, hey, avoid this, avoid this?
Ooh, I would say avoid working with a realtor who will not explain things to you in language that you understand. The realtor might know what they're talking about. They might know it in the business language that they use, but you might not be a real estate agent. You might not have any background in this. You need somebody who's going to put it into language that you understand so that you can make a confident and informed choice. And that's what I loved about our agent. I will support that guy for his entire career. I loved working with him. He was an incredible young man.
Love that. We might sound calm. We are calm. But we are also really excited about this. We bought this house 5 months ago, so we've been sitting on this for a while. But I am so excited for this power move.
Yeah.
I never would have thought a year ago when we sold our house that we would have already bought another house and it wouldn't be one that we were living in. I thought for sure the next house that we bought was going to be our quote unquote forever home. And it's just funny the way things change. And I think anyone who's been listening for a while or from the beginning can see how much we have changed and evolved through the whole process. And it just kind of blows my mind sometimes thinking of all of the stuff that the listeners have really watched us go through. It's been a lot.
Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people enjoy our podcast, though, because we're very real. We're very honest. We're reflective. We think back to choices that we made and where we want to go long term and what puts us in the best position to be successful. And we're authentic and raw behind that. And I think that's what people gravitate towards.
It's probably why we have 50,000 downloads on our podcast this
Yeah,
week.
that's really cool. That's super exciting.
50,000.
50,000. That's super
I've
fun.
never even gotten up in a room and spoken in front of like 500 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. And then I think like 50,000 people across the world have listened to this little passion project that started over some wine in quarantine. And here we are now. We did it all with you guys. Like
Yeah, it's really exciting
we
to think
sold our
about.
cars. We did the journey, paid off so much debt with you guys. We sold our house. We literally liquidated our assets. We moved, and here we are on another power move for our financial future. And it's so cool to have this massive community of thousands of people watching and cheering us on. I'm just so excited because someone's going to listen to this podcast today and reach out and say, oh my gosh, I want to know more. I want to pick your brain. This is something I want to do. I have money to put a down payment on a $94,000 house. 94 or 92?
92.
So, I mean, this is impacting people, and it's so cool to think that we're making waves like that.
Yeah, and I'm very nerdy when it comes to this stuff. I actually really enjoy talking about it. So if somebody does want to reach out and have a conversation, I'll gladly get on Zoom. We can share screen and walk through absolutely everything, all of the tools online that you can use that are free at your disposal to do the numbers, all of the ways you can find, homes and places that might work for you. Like I'm up for it.
Love it. Well, this was really fun. I'm so excited to finally share this with people. I like to just tell everyone everything all the time. I'm just really a blabbermouth, I guess.
Yeah.
So not being able to tell people about this killed me. And then for a while I kind of forgot about it, and then I told like all of my clients on a group call one day, and I was like, "Oops, Justin, now a bunch of people know."
That's okay.
Well, this was fun. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing all the details with people.
Definitely. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on. And I should say, or I guess we should tell the listeners to keep an eye on the Instagram this week
Definitely.
because we're planning on doing a 50,000 download giveaway. So we're still tossing our minds together and deciding what we want to do to make it unique and fun and exciting. But keep your eyes peeled to our Instagram because we definitely want to shout out you guys for being part of this journey with us.
If you're new here and you don't know what Instagram is, it's an app, and go find us at Price of Avocado Toast. Just Price of Avocado Toast, nothing fancy.
Yeah. That's going to do it for this episode of Price of Avocado Toast. As always, we are so thankful to have had this conversation with you and so grateful to be part of this community. Happy budgeting and real estate investing.
Woo! You've got this, Toasties.
Thanks for listening to the Price of Avocado Toast. If you vibed with this episode, share it with a friend that you're comfortable having money talks with. And if you don't mind, we'd love if you could rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're in need of my support as a financial coach, message me on Instagram. I'd love to help in any way that I can. Until next time.